Good evening. Welcome. Someone asked me how long this has been going on. This is our 6th year, and I think we have the biggest crowd we have ever had, and that's something Bill Lacey and I wanted, and I want to say thank you so much. This is just delightful. For those of you who don't know, I'm Barbara Ballard, and I'm Associate Director here at the Dole Institute of Politics, and I also teach on campus, and I am one of the state representatives as well. I will say to you, you look at your program and you'll know what we have. And again, I want to say we are doing this with KUROTC. And we have done it from the beginning with them. Whenever we have asked for their help, we plan them helping us, and they have helped us develop this program from greeting you coming in and out of the door and later on they will help you if you need any assistance with your food or a whole combination of things as well. And I think you all know about our seating. For those that are in the back, I've just asked them to hold up a little bit until we finish our program, and we will find you that extra chair that you need. At this point, we're very pleased to have Moonlight Serenade Orchestra. They have been our partners for 6 years as well. So with that, we will post the colors. Would you please stand? American Legion, Dorsey Liberty Post, number 14. And they have been with us for 6 years. If you cannot stand, just raise your hand. We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you could join us in the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed as the twilight's last gleaming through broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the Rockies red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, nation and star spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the brave. And if you know it, that's a singer's prerogative. I go longer than they did. All right. You may be seated. I would like to ask the director of the Dole Institute of Politics, Bill Lacey, to come forward, and he will give you the greetings.
It is, but can you hear me back there? It's a very direct microphone. Welcome, everybody. It's great to have you here. As Barbara mentioned, this is our 6th gala. It's one of our favorite times of the year. It's just a great honor to welcome all the veterans and members of their family, and I've already had a chance to walk out and talk to a few of you, and a number of you commented that you have relatives on our memory wall or in our kiosk. If you've got a member of the family who's a veteran from World War II, whose photograph we don't have in the kiosk, we would encourage you to turn that in because we still add those all the time. And eventually, hopefully within the next year, we're actually going to have that kiosk online. So you can actually go online and see family members whose photographs are here at the Dole Institute. But it's great to have you here. I also have a number of people ask about Bob Dole. Senator Dole is doing well. He actually was on television this week greeting an honor flight in Washington, D.C. A group of us got to go to his 90th birthday party at the Capitol back in July. There were about 5 or 6 of us. And it was really quite remarkable because at a time when politicians in Washington, our leaders can't agree on anything, we had, at that birthday party, you had Speaker Boehner, you had Minority Leader Pelosi, you had Majority Leader Reid, Minority Leader McConnell, and they all agreed that Bob Dole was great, and they wished him happy birthday. So they can agree at least on one thing. Senator Dole spoke for 7 or 8 minutes. He is frail, but he's still mentally very sharp. He gave about a 5 or 6 minute history of the Statuary Hall at the Capitol, which is where the event was held. And then he told some of those classic Bob Dole one-liners. For example, at one point he said, you know, by the time that everybody comes, we figure there will be about 700 people here. And that seems kind of right to me because that's the number of votes I got in 1996. So thank you, Ron. You got that pretty much as we rehearsed it. So, but I do have a special message that I wanted to read to you tonight. Dear Veterans Gala attendees, welcome to the Dole Institute. I'm so delighted there are nearly 300 veterans and their families present tonight. It's especially important at this time of year to recognize veterans' service and sacrifice. I just visited with an honor flight at the World War II Memorial this week. It is always a special treat to get the opportunity to greet veterans there. I also want to thank Associate Director Barbara Ballard and the team at the Dole Institute for making tonight's event happen. So, whether from the World War I era, Korean, Vietnam, or Gulf Wars, or any era, enjoy the gala, food and drink, and great music by the Moonlight Serenade Orchestra. Thanks to all of you for coming. God bless America. Bob Dole. So enjoy yourself. Have a great time. Take advantage of it. And again, we salute your service. We thank you for being here. Have a great evening.
This is really a special event. And one of the things I always am aware of is that the veterans may serve, but their family serves as well because they have to make the sacrifices and they are there to encourage you on, and they're picking up what's left at home while you're someplace else doing it. So it's truly a partnership, and we want to recognize all the family and friends as well because you have to work together. So thank you. The other part of our program is we always have the tribute from our ROTC. And often you'll hear somebody say, hope our country is in good hands. Those of you who have been here before, you realize that with our ROTC and all of our other young people that serve in the military, we are in good hands. And when you hear their toast to you, you'll realize how much they love the United States of America, how much they want to defend, how much they want to make sure that we keep our democracy. We are in good hands. Our first speaker this evening will be Cadet Stuart McConnell from the Army ROTC.
Ladies and gentlemen, veterans, it is a privilege to be able to speak with you this evening. I am humbled to speak on the topic of Veterans Day in this setting and with this audience. My name is Cadet McConnell, and I'm the Cadet Commander of Army ROTC here at the University of Kansas. Lieutenant Colonel Reynolds, our Professor of Military Science, annually assigns a senior class with writing a Veterans Day speech, and it has proven to be a much more difficult task than I imagined. It's a difficult task not because of a lack of interest and material concerning veterans, but because I find myself so currently unqualified to relate to those who have already completed their time in service as I myself am only now beginning mine. That being said, I will speak about the most appropriate thing I can considering my experiences. I would like to tell all of you how veterans have shaped my life and steered me onto the path of eventually becoming one myself. To give you some background on myself, I've been in Army ROTC here at the University of Kansas for the last 4 years. I'm from Newton, Kansas, where I was born and raised for 19 years before I moved to Lawrence. Now, Newton has a large Mennonite population, and many of my friends growing up were steadfast pacifists. I only knew about ROTC because my father did the program at Colorado State University. When it came to discussing future plans after high school with my friends and peers, bringing up ROTC or any form of service was a difficult task, simply because of all the explaining that would have to ensue. They would ask me, "What's ROTC? So, will you actually have to be in the Army then?" Not until I came to Lawrence and interacted with my peers that were military brats and had lived their lives on base or came from military communities did I realize how unaware I was to everything involving entering and living in the military community. I didn't even know there was such a thing as junior ROTC that you can get involved with in high school. That being said, my decision to accept an ROTC scholarship that would require 4 years of active duty service was not one that I made with ignorance, for I did my research before making my choice to join the program here at KU. Now, how this all ties into Veterans Day is this. If you look at my life, my hometown, the number of kids that join the military out of high school, you may conclude it is a thing of chance that I'm standing before you this evening, a student at a liberal university and about to commission as a second lieutenant. But looking back, it is not mere chance. I can review my life and pinpoint what influence played a role in where I stand today. I think that having talked with many cadets entering the program, family is probably the biggest factor when it comes to making the life decision to join the military. Most people join because someone who had served before, a veteran, influenced them to do so, either directly or indirectly by setting an example. In my case, it wasn't just my dad. My grandfather is a veteran in the Navy as well. While both of these individuals had the most impact on me as direct family members, veterans from my church congregation also played a role. Several ministers in my church were veterans, and I remember the call to the congregation each year asking veterans to stand and be recognized. It was always surprising to see how many people I knew would stand that I respected, and this made me want to one day serve all the more. I'm not saying everyone should be a veteran, for it is a path that is not for everyone. But I'm also not saying that it is current veterans' jobs to recruit the next members of the service. My father never once put any pressure on me to commit to service, a point he often made verbally by telling me my choices were my own and that I was not expected to serve out of family expectations. There was absolutely no pressure on me to make a military decision. I made my decision based off of the examples of men that I looked up to, men that were veterans. To me, it was the characteristics of service and responsibility that I saw in veterans that compelled me to follow in their footsteps. When I think of veterans today, I don't think of people getting the spotlight in a church service once a year for 30 seconds followed by applause. That's not the end goal. Continued recognition is not the only reward for time spent in service to one's nation. When I think of a veteran today, I think of continuity. I think of continuity between members of the military, passed down from person to person since the Revolution, through the Civil War, World War I, World War II, and all the way up to today. The military is a profession of mentorship, leadership, and learning from others' experiences as much as your own. This environment creates a military organization where lessons and values of leadership, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage can be passed from one generation of service to the next. Veterans to me represent a group of people that have contributed to the greatness of our current military. Because no matter how small we get and how many cuts happen, our military is still the best military in the world. This is because of not only those who are currently in it, but veterans who bore the torch before them. It is the best because of veterans that were at one point in their lives influenced somehow to serve, and they, in turn, influence others to serve. Whether in or out of the service, they played a role in the building of the military that would endure long after their ability to directly serve themselves. Veterans are a representation of how a military in complicated times remains a military of honor through service from decade to decade. Thank you, everyone.
Cadet Madeline Uloa.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Cadet 3rd Class Uloa, and on behalf of Air Force ROTC Detachment 280, welcome. As a second-year cadet in ROTC, I've experienced my share of hardships. I've called column movements on the wrong foot, I've worn my ranks backwards, and heaven forbid, I've had my shoelaces come untucked at PT. Some days, I get caught up in these minor inconveniences, but then I remember, never have I parachuted behind enemy lines, gone days without food or sleep, or had to carry a 100-pound ruck through miles of dense jungle. Former Kansas Senator Robert Joseph Dole had to endure many of those conditions while serving in World War II. It is no coincidence that we have gathered in a building named for him, in an institute created as a testimony to one who served. Like many of the veterans in our audience, Bob Dole demonstrated courage in seemingly impossible situations, resilience in the face of failure, and exemplary leadership in moments of uncertainty. The value we as Americans hasn't changed. The values we as Americans place in these qualities hasn't changed, but the times certainly have. The Vietnam and Korean Wars were fought with F-4 fighter jets, M60 machine guns, and Patton tanks. Now, many of our battles are fought using cyber technology and unmanned aerial vehicles, also known as UAVs. I know for a fact, instead of jet fighters and bombers, today's Air Force envisions a future that militarizes and weaponizes space. I would like to personally thank the veterans in our audience today for making this modernization possible. When America needed you most, you rose to the occasion. You raised your right hand and made a promise to defend our country against all enemies, even if upholding that promise came at the ultimate price. You held yourselves to the highest standards, which explains why you have routinely exceeded expectations. Your selfless service laid the groundwork for today's soldiers, airmen, and naval personnel. You inspired generations of men and women to defend our country, and you set the precedent for excellence in everything we do as military service members. I stand here before you, truly honored to pay tribute to the sacrifices of our veterans. Our freedom today is not because of the sacrifice of one veteran, but rather the sacrifices of veterans across America. To everyone here in the audience, thank you. Your attendance tonight is a testament to your appreciation and gratitude to those who served. And to the veterans in our audience, a final thank you for your valor, courage, and lasting dedication to ensuring America continues to be the greatest country in the world. God bless you.
Cadet Madame Ledoa, Army Air Force, ROTC. Our next speaker, Officer Candidate Bricker, Naval ROTC.
Thank you all very much. I'm honored to be here today representing the United States Navy and the University of Kansas Naval ROTC unit as we pay tribute to all those who have served in uniform over the years. Veterans Day is a day to honor those who have served, who are currently serving, as well as those who have died in service to their country. In the words of Thomas Paine, those who expect to reap the blessings of freedom must undergo the fatigue of supporting it. Many of you here today have borne that burden and experienced the fatigue of waging war in order to bring about peace. To you, I say thank you. Thank you for setting the example that inspired me and my peers to raise our hands in voluntary service to this great nation. That shared service joins us together like no other bond. The camaraderie and fellowship we share in military service helps define us and often profoundly changes our character and redirects our paths in life. I can honestly say that the time I've spent as a member of the United States Navy has been the most rewarding and educational experience of my life. And at this time in my life, and that even after service in the Navy, it will stay with me and define me until the day I die. Without any uncertainty, I can say that joining the Navy was the best decision I've ever made. I was a typical college student who had a tough time adjusting to the responsibilities and freedom that college allotted me. I began to make stupid choices and saw myself progressing down a path that I knew was not good for me. I knew that I needed a serious kick in the rear to get myself back in the direction that I felt I should have been in all along. So in the spring of 2008, I decided not to return to college, and on September 25th, 2008, I enlisted in the United States Navy. This decision to enlist has taken me on a journey that I never saw for myself. I simply wanted to straighten up, learn some discipline, and get my act together. Because of the opportunities the Navy has had for me, I was able to achieve these goals and then some. After serving for a few years, I applied for and was ultimately accepted for an enlisted commissioning program, Seaman to Admiral 21, also known as Stay 21, which would allow me to finish my degree that I began and become commissioned as a naval officer. The philosopher Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, "America is just another word for opportunity." Today, I can proudly say that I'm currently on track to complete my bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering and this spring be commissioned as a naval submarine officer. Emerson's statement holds true because of the service and sacrifice that you and many others like you have had to endure. For some, it meant the worldwide conflict of World War II, or a lifetime of peacekeeping missions, or the tense standoff during the Cold War. Others found themselves in the jungle of Vietnam, or in Korea, Panama, and other conflicts which we have asked our military to serve in over the years. And of course, we cannot forget that today, for many, service means multiple tours in Iraq or Afghanistan on active duty or as reservists. Roughly 1% of the American population serves in the military. And as we consider the impact those individuals have had on the world, defending freedom and protecting democracy, I'm reminded of the words of Winston Churchill. Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few. For those of you here tonight who have served our nation, I thank you for your service and for your sacrifice. For those of you here tonight who have not, I thank you for your patriotism and for your support. Thank you all very much for having us. Happy 238th birthday to the Marines. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
We'll now ask the remaining ROTC cadets to come out. And I will say to you, not in the order that they're coming out, but the Army cadets will be Captain Stuart McConnell, which you've met already, Cadet Ian Barrow, Cadet John Lusby, Cadet Parker Pizzati, Cadet Kendall Gregg, Cadet Madeline Wilcox, and Cadet Courtney Brungart. And they're under the command of Lieutenant Colonel Storm Reynolds, Professor of Military Science. For our Air Force ROTC, Cadet Julian McCafferty, Cadet Matt Mulhern, Cadet John Toner, Cadet Chelsea Lotz, Cadet Andrew Gunnison, Cadet Dale Hoopy, Cadet Madeline Uloa, and Cadet Emily Thompson, and they're under command of Lieutenant Colonel Brian Salmons, Commander, Air Force ROTC Detachment 280. For the Naval ROTC, Officer Cadet Bricker, which you heard, Sergeant Edward Stymack, Midshipman Corey Bredesen, Midshipman Justin Davis, Midshipman Steve Catadella, Midshipman Evan Key, Midshipman Raymond Hauer, Midshipman Sidney Jordan, Midshipman Trevor Dark, and Midshipman Dalta Prinz, and they're under the command of Captain Brian Collins, USMC, Marine Officer Instructor, Naval ROTC. Would the other cadets come out, please? I would also ask the veterans that can stand, please do so. Those who cannot, just raise your hand. And you will have a salute from all of our ROTC.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you could remain standing, please, we'd like to pay a tribute to all those veterans who have passed from us.
I think we could be very proud of our KU, ROTC. And before we retire the colors, I would just like to say, I thank each and every one of you for coming this evening to pay tribute to our veterans, but also to the democracy that we all enjoy. Bill Lacey and myself want this program always to be a gift to each of you from the Dole Institute of Politics. And you all know Senator Dole was a World War II veteran. But we all know that democracy cost lives, many sacrifices. And this is just our small way of saying, let's celebrate what we have. We thank you for what you have given to this country. And we're very grateful. Thank you very much. Retire the colors, gentlemen. Please stand. Thank you all very much. Again, our thanks to KUROTC, and I certainly want to thank the staff from the Dole Institute of Politics, because we have all worked very hard to put this on for you and hoping to make this a wonderful evening for you as well. For those of you who have been here before, you know a reception will follow. And of course, this is the dance floor area. So if you want to dance, it is open. If you want to sit and enjoy it, you may do that as well. Please enjoy your evening. And my last announcement is there is a red Toyota with their lights on. License plate 844 EQB as in Bravo. If you don't want your evening to be stalled, you will go and get your car. But thank you all so very much for coming. And I just want you to just say one word for me. Just yell veterans as loud as you can on 3. 1, 2, 3. Veterans. Oh, you can do better than that. 1, 2, 3. Veterans. The next word you thought was right. Family. Family. Repeat. Family. Love. Patriotism. Honor. The United States. Thank you so very much. Moonlight Serenade, it's your end.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Bill. And especially thank you to the KU ROTC. Barbara mentioned we are the Moonlight Serenade Orchestra. We're here to help honor veterans and their families here tonight. We're going to play a lot of the great music and hits from the 30s, 40s, and 50s. Big dance floor out here for all of you. Please come fill it up. We're going to start with a piece that was the theme song from the great Glenn Miller Band back in the 30s and 40s. It's how we got our name. This is called Moonlight Serenade. We're going to continue with another great piece from the Glenn Miller Orchestra. This is from 1939. Gentlemen, this is what you need to take care of with your lovely bride. A string of pearls. started off the night with the theme song from the Glenn Miller Orchestra. We're going to do another theme song, this one from the great Tommy Dorsey Orchestra. This is from 1938. I'm getting sentimental over you. Mr. Lindsey Williams, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a little jaded. I think we've got the best musicians in Kansas City in this band. I also know we've got two of the best vocalists in the entire Midwest with us here tonight. We're going to start off with one of those right now. This is a piece that was a million seller in 1936 for Miss Peggy Lee and the Benny Goodman Orchestra. Starting off, ladies and gentlemen, Paul McLaughlin with Why Don't You Do Right?
Good evening.
One, two, one, two, three, four. just flew home, hauled down 435 and Highway 10. And here she is. Thanks, Paula. Paula's going to continue with a piece that was written by Irving Berlin in 1933. It came from the movie Top Hat, and it was first sung by Fred Astaire to, of course, his wonderful dance partner who danced backwards in heels all the time, Ginger Rogers. This is called Cheek to Cheek. Solo. 1, 2, 2, 3. One of the great composers from the 20th century, also wrote a lot of great music for Hollywood, as well as Broadway musicals. This next pair, Rodgers and Hart.